welcome to the Mindset RX series of the Alpha Movement podcast. My name is Tom Foxley and I help functional athletes gain the champ's mindset. So before we get into today's show, I'd like to go over a small bit of housekeeping. First of all is the Mindset RX coaching certification. The coaching certification is something I've put together in order to help the people who want to work for me, i.e. the people who want to become Mindset RX coaches, get qualified. Because there was quite frankly nothing available that even came close to the level of quality that I needed my coaches to express. So I put together the Mindset RX coaching certification, and if you are interested in becoming a Mindset RX coach, this is a prerequisite that you must go through. Or if you are an existing coach with existing members, or you own a CrossFit box and you want to implement mindset into your coaching or into your services, then the Mindset RX coaching certification is for you. So if you're interested, shoot me a message at tom@mindsetrx.com and we can have a chat about that. Next, I will be hosting another Inner Athlete Performance Camp, and they're quite frankly getting kind of to the point where I can just open them up and people jump on board. So I've only got a week's notice before the next Inner Athlete Performance Camp starts, and it's going to be a fairly small one. I'm keeping it small because of the coaching certification is going to be running at the same time or simultaneously. So they're both being run at the same time. So it's quite a nice small group that's going to be starting. So again, if you're interested in the Inner Athlete Performance Camp, a 12-week process giving you the champ's mindset and really taking you to a place where you are making sustainable, consistent progress and feeling fucking awesome about it, then email me tom@mindsetrx.com and stick the headline IAPC. Anyway, today's show. We're going to go back to last week, my last training session of last week. I've had a couple of days off, which has been really nice, but I've been recruiting the help of probably the best coach I've ever worked under. I'm not going to give you his name because that's a secret for me to know, but he works at CrossFit Allgate. He's fantastic, and the experience that I've had there is phenomenal. It's completely crushing me though in the best possible way. It's so lucky that I have the concept of embracing hardship in mind, because these are some truly hard sessions and they are the epitome of hardship. For example, the first thing I was asked to do was put in a weights vest and told that I wouldn't be taking that weights vest off for the entirety of the session. That's before the warm-up had even started. So it's kind of that. And it's a weekly dose of hardship for me with a lot of direction, and it's helping me out. But anyway, I turned up to this session on Friday morning after being ridiculously underfueled, not sleeping very well, not feeling good, and also it's the end of the week as well. So we all know what it's like being at the end of the week, where you just need a day off by that point, and you're kind of fried, but you're still going anyway. And I just had nothing available. I had no energy to push, and I know that I gave everything I had then, but it was only 70% of what I potentially could have given. And I was I started to fall into the old trap of beating myself up and going, oh, but I should have done better, I could have done better, it was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, kind of all this kind of stuff goes through your head straight away. And it's a familiar trap for me. Like, I can remember times when negative things have happened before. Like, I remember missing a lift once, looking around, and then there was people behind me. Just like, I've no idea to this day whether they were laughing at me or not laughing at me, but I saw them laughing, and then I made eye contact with one of them, and that, even though I knew in all likelihood that they weren't laughing at me, and B, more importantly, that had no effect whatsoever on my performance. It ruined my performance not only for the rest of the session, but for the couple of days after, whilst I was kind of licking my wounds and sulking about it. So this negative situation, or the negative situations taking over my performance essentially, and dictating my performance, were like, it's something I'm very familiar with. So I had to implement my own, or I had to develop my own training system and then start implementing in trial and error. And what I've come out with is 4 simple steps, and I'm sure I've been through them on the podcast before because they're that powerful, and they form the principles of the coaching system that I use. But it's 4 steps, and it's something I remind myself of every single time a negative, in air quotes, a negative session or a negative event arises. And the acronym is PACE, P-A-C-E. And the P stands for perspective. And I've spoken about perspective for a huge amount of time. And perspective is the key to seeing the situation, or it's essentially removing all the bias that you may have encountered through influence. And this is something I've definitely spoken about before, but it's worth touching on again. Every time we encounter an influence, whether that is an experience, whether that's an education, whether it's just evolutionary kind of bias, whether it's our family, whether it's our friends, or whether it's just something we pick up through the media. Every time we encounter something like that, we form a bias and we form a belief, and this belief and the bias work together to completely dictate our actions in the moment. And what we have to do is remove these beliefs, remove these biases, and kind of separate ourselves from the influences, because when we do that, we gain perspective, and when we gain perspective, we begin to take steps forwards. So what I had to do in that situation is regain perspective first. So when I was kind of so one of my friends, actually, like a little side note before we get to that, one of my friends said that I think she said she saw my soul leave on the third set of thrusters, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. So when I was feeling like that, I had to gain perspective straight away, and the way I did that was by thinking, okay, this isn't my essential job to be the best I can be now, but it's my job to be better than I was yesterday. So it's not my job to be my best today, but it's my job to be better than I was yesterday. And I was certainly doing that, because when you gain perspective, you're essentially saying, okay, I'm here in my journey and I've still got a long way to go, but I'm taking the next step. And knowing that that was the case was essential. The next piece is A in this acronym, and sorry if you hear me sniffing and snuffling, but I've got a cold and I feel like I've got the nose of a 7-year-old right now, so apologies if that's the nicest audio kind of format for you guys possibly to have me sniffing in your ears. Anyway, awareness, the next step. Awareness is the process of seeing clearly, or hearing clearly, or experiencing your internal and external landscape with intensity. So often as athletes, we are numb to what's happening internally. We're usually all right externally. We can usually see what's happening, and we're usually aware of what's happening externally, but internally we shut it off and we switch it off and we suppress and we repress everything that's going on internally. So what we need to do is bring that to the surface, bring awareness to what we're actually seeing and experiencing internally. And instead of me pushing back those feelings of, oh God, this sucks, this is a hard session, I'm not fueled properly, I shouldn't be doing this now. Instead of pushing those back, which just intensifies them and makes them even more substantial, by resisting them, we add substance to these bullshit beliefs. Instead of doing that, I chose to see them clearly. And this is what you have to do as well. Instead of repressing thoughts, you have to see them clearly. And when you see them clearly, they lose some of their power and you regain your power over the moment. So become aware of the thoughts. And that's the next thing you had to do. C stands for consistent elegance. Consistent elegance, I've spoken about this before, but again, it's worth touching upon. Consistent being obviously repeatedly doing, and elegant is defined as a surprisingly simple or ingenious solution to an apparently complex problem. And this elegant solution the consistent elegance is a way of taking small steps on a regular basis. Instead of thinking I have to be at the next step now, it's like okay, this is all part of my journey. I'm just putting a tick in the box right now. So when I was like with my soul leaving my body, as my friend said, when I was like that, the kind of default setting in the old days when I used to have that mindset of negativity was to think, oh, I should be there now and I should be perfect now. But with consistent elegance, all we do is we think, okay, I'm checking today's box. I'm getting up, I'm checking today's box, I'm getting on with it. And I can still check all my other boxes as well, because I know that I don't have to take giant leaps, and success isn't built on giant leaps. It's built by tiny steps. And all we have to do is put one foot in front of the other over and over and over again. And we eventually get there. So there's that. Consistent elegance. And I'd highly recommend that you develop a consistent, elegant approach that doesn't rely on like kind of explosive starts and powering through motivation, but relies on filling a bucket drip by drip, as one of my favorite writers, Chris Moore, said. So far we've got perspective, awareness, consistent elegance, and the last piece, I'm going to build up the tension by having a sip of coffee. The last piece is embracing hardship. Now, this is the easiest one to do, but it's a very difficult one to commit to. It's very easy to go through the motions and appear as if you're embracing hardship, but quite often we're not. We're pretending we are, we're telling ourselves we are, but in fact we're resisting it. Again, it comes back to the idea of resistance. Embracing hardship is the idea of welcoming the discomfort, of chasing this discomfort. And this is what the best athletes do. This, by the way, as a little side note, discomfort applies to everything that we don't want to do, whether it's hitting our supplements, whether it's doing our mobility, whether it's making sure our macros are on point, like whatever it is, or even let's extrapolate it one step further, whether it's having a difficult conversation with a boss or your spouse, like let's look at that, or whether it's fessing up to a mistake you made. So embracing hardship here applies to all areas, but we want to embrace hardship, don't we? So the reason we do this is because it takes us towards intensity and it stops us from shying away from it and then becoming negative. And if we embrace this hardship, it keeps us positive because we know that we took that step forwards. And to kind of couple it in with consistent elegance as well, the job isn't to be 100% committed from tomorrow. It's to be 1% better, and just be 1% better and 1% better and 1% better. And we take these steps forwards and we embrace hardship on a regular basis, and success is almost inevitable. And in this situation, to avoid myself being negative in the future or seeing the situation negatively, the answer was to embrace the hardship at the moment, to think, okay, how uncomfortable can I make this for myself? How am I going to do this? It's getting back to the log and doing thrusters with the log. By the way, log thrusters are probably one of the nastiest things ever. There's no rest in front rack whatsoever. So there's that as well. And this applies whether you're a CrossFit athlete or whether you are on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mats or whether you are climbing a mountain. Embrace the hardship. It applies across. So folks, the PACE acronym: perspective, awareness, consistent elegance, and embracing hardship. Now, if you have any questions about these, feel free to shoot me an email, tom@mindsetrx, or you can find me. Instagram's probably the best way, which is @TomFoxley. And a lot of people follow me on Facebook as well. Don't feel weird about shooting me a friend request on Facebook. It's how I kind of, I hate to say market, but spread the word about Mindset RX. So you go to Facebook, search, I think it's facebook.com/tom.foxley, or you can head to the blog Mindset, which is mindsetrx.com. Also, don't forget the Mindset RX coaching certification, available both to people who want to become Mindset RX coaches. And by the way, we've got some great applicants, but I'd love to have like a broader spread of applicants to choose from to work for Mindset RX and to work in this amazing, amazing job. And it's also open to coaches who just want to add mindset in a very structured way to their coaching, to their services. So there's that available, and the Inner Athlete Performance Camper too. The 12-week process where I give you the Champs mindset and we build it together, and it's an incredible process. It's a group process, and if you're after any more details about either of those, just shoot me an email, tom@mindsetrx.com, and of course, 5-star reviews on iTunes, because 5-star reviews make my ego grow immensely. Now, I'll see you folks very soon, or I'll speak to you folks very soon for another episode of the Mindset RX series of the Alpha Movement Podcast.